This kick can decide it all. The nation holds its breath. Yes,
Hi and welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Joe Patrick Finn Benoa. Quite a name, quite an Irish name with a twist. A couple of podcasts ago, we discussed the Irish Messi, Zach Gilsinen. At the same time he was at Barcelona, there was another youngster with Irish roots at Barcelona's rivals, Real Madrid. So not only was there one Irish youth at Barcelona, but in Spain, but two young Irish prospects at the rivals of Barcelona there, where the yin and yang of, some would say Spanish football, some would say world football. He was a 9-year-old called, again, Joe Patrick Finn was the name we were given then. I suppose perhaps he was always Benoa as well, but double barrel name more common these days. But maybe for Irish media that bit of the surname was left off. But the name itself, Joe Patrick Finn, doesn't really come any more Irish of a name than that. So you won't be surprised that his father was Irish, unfortunately. He's no longer with us, and his mother is from Cameroon. But he himself, born, bred, Spain, predominantly just Madrid, hence going to Real Madrid. I mean, you couldn't really have been born anywhere better, really, could you, to play for Madrid, unless it was Barcelona. So for some reason, there wasn't as much clamour about him as Zach at the time. It was still a story of note in Ireland, but one can only imagine if both had made it through the youth ranks at both Barcelona and Real Madrid and into the first team, that today there could be maybe not today, in a couple of years, there could be two Irish internationals playing for Barcelona, Real Madrid, representing Ireland, and really doesn't come any higher glitz and glamour than that. But it's one of those shoulda, coulda, woulda stuff of dreams. For various different reasons, neither of them made it to their youth club's first team. So anyway, after the initial story came out, first it was all about the Irish Messi, then it was there is another. Again, he didn't garnish the headlines as much as Zach, possibly because the story had already been told. One Irish youth playing for Barcelona, it wasn't the big headline that the initial story was of Zach. But anyway, for whatever reason, but after that, there was no real mention of Joe Patrick again online or in the Irish press. And, you'd be forgiven to think he never made it as a player, or just like the millions of other players, young kids that are playing football, that was his moment, his 15 minutes of fame. However, they will be wrong. Roll on 8 years, and a 17-year-old is making his debut for Getafe football team, first team, and that was in fact the youngest ever player to play for Getafe, and his name was just John Patrick. But yes, is the Joe Patrick Finn Benoa. So it would appear he left Real Madrid 2 years after signing for them. So joining Real Madrid in 2012 as a 9-year-old and leaving in 2014. He then moved to Canillas from 2014 to 2015, another team in Madrid. And then 2015 to 2018, Alco Bendas, again, apologies about my pronunciation. Both teams in Madrid and both at youth level. In 2018, he signed for Getafe's youth team, and then, as said, made his debut as a 17-year-old in 2020. And coming off the bench, no goals, 6 appearances in the 2021 season. Unfortunately, sometime from when he hit Irish headlines as, the alternative to the Irish Messi at Real, sometime between then and turning up again at Getafe, unfortunately it appears his father passed away somewhere in the interim, which at any age is devastating, but as a young person, it's one of those things that can affect you your whole life. I mean, it affects people anyway when a loved one dies. So the fact that a young player, a young person, didn't implode after this, and kept moving forward with a challenging career as it would be anyway, for it's virtually impossible for a youngster to make it as a professional footballer, shows that even with the biggest earth-shattering, life-changing thing happening, he still worked hard, dedicated, and I would say that's really, if you can overcome that, you can overcome anything. So from that alone, I would say this guy's destined to be a big star. 2020-21 season, Getafe were fighting relegation, so the manager, although he had 6 appearances off the bench and he was on the bench a fair bit, the manager, rightly or wrongly, decided to stick with experienced pros, therefore giving exciting young players a chance. Last season there was a new manager, and Joe Patrick was playing regularly for the Getafe B team, which plays in the Spanish 4th Division, which is still perfectly good for an 18-year-old, 4th Division in Spain. This season, pre-season, he was in the first team squad and is now in the Getafe B team again. I believe his contract was up in June of last year, 22. It appeared there was interest in him from England with Leeds and Man United, and maybe more strongly from Germany with Eintracht Frankfurt. But obviously Getafe rate him highly and made it worth his while to extend his contract. So that's why he's still with Getafe. I don't know the length of that contract, so but I'd imagine it's another couple of years. So with a name like Joe Patrick, you'd imagine in any other Joe Patrick Finn, any other circumstances, you'd imagine Ireland's a shoe-in. There's no danger of somebody called Joe Patrick Finn leaving, playing for anybody but Ireland. He's Irish through and through, which I'm sure he is, and he's obviously, but anyway, we'll get into that. But he does have a lot of options besides Ireland. So obviously Benoa, his mother from Cameroon, I'd say that's the biggest threat to Ireland. No disrespect to him, I'm sure he could play for Spain, and I'm sure that would be his first choice. But obviously Spain is one of the best teams in the world, and to get into that Spain side, you'd need to be playing first team football week in, week out at a team like Getafe to get into that Spanish team, squad, whatever. So if Ireland or Cameroon moved quickly in the next year or two, he could possibly represent them, unless he wanted to hang out on the chance of someday playing for Spain. Again, I wouldn't say Spain's an impossible dream for him. Obviously he's done very well. As I said, he's overcome immensely difficult things in his life to date already, and his career. He's left Real Madrid, but he's still come back. So maybe he will hold out for Spain, but maybe he might get tempted. So also, for some reason, there's a report that England, it is an option he might play for England too. Not sure how, and I doubt with a name like Joe Patrick Finn, the guy's going to play for England. Who knows? But anyway, unless the Spanish option arises sooner, I would imagine it's a straight shootout between Ireland and Cameroon. Cameroon arguably more attractive to a player because they play regularly in the African nations, and there's more of a chance they will qualify for World Cups. Not putting Ireland down, but the fact that it's very hard to qualify out of Europe. Ireland will be middle to lower level team in Europe, and Cameroon will be one of the higher teams in Africa, so the chances of qualifying will be better at Cameroon. Maybe, being that he grew up in Spain, lives in Spain, Ireland might be closer. So, and the fact his dad is from Ireland might sway him. So if Ireland can act fast and are ahead of the curve before he makes his big breakthrough at club level and fast track him into the first team with maybe a few appearances from the bench, then maybe we can get a future superstar and not another this player could have played for Ireland what if story that happens a bit too often with Ireland. Now I know that approach might be questionable and people might say a player doesn't warrant a spot with an international team or Ireland. We're specifically talking about Ireland until they're playing regularly at a high level, whether that's like even second division in England or Spain or somewhere. And I understand that point of view, but at that stage, Ireland, if he is like in the Premiership or La Liga, there's a good chance Ireland is gonna miss out on him because he's a bigger profile, more attractive option for Spain or Cameroon to go headhunting him. So that's again my own personal view. So now he has represented Ireland most recently at under 19 level in 2021. So I'd say the ball is possibly in Ireland's favour at the moment. He also has a younger brother called Brandon, who also plays for the Getafe Academy and has also represented Ireland at under 15s level. So here's hoping they both make it to the top level and to the Irish senior level international team, and we have two La Liga brothers playing at the highest level and representing Ireland. The future, who knows? We will soon find out on Joe Patrick anyway, I would imagine, and hopefully Brandon will follow in a couple of years. Thanks for listening, all the best.